Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for listening. Welcome to the Aspiring Scholars Podcast. We are so glad to have you. My name is Tyler Simpson. I am a junior here at Bethel University. I'm a youth ministry major, and so what I want to do is be a youth pastor and go wherever God calls me. Here is my co-host.
Amen. I'm Kellen McClade, also a junior here at Bethel University, also a youth min major, also wants to be a youth pastor.
So, Kellen, why are we doing this podcast?
There's a bunch of reasons. We are aspiring scholars ourselves. We want to continue learning about the world around us. We want to continue learning about God. We want to continue learning about each other.
Exactly. I think I want to give a big kudos and shout out to all of our professors here at Bethel University who have been pouring into us and helping us to see God more clearly. I'm just so glad to be able to have this opportunity to be able to spend time with friends and learn more about God. And I think the whole idea of this podcast is just be able to spend time with each other, have fun, learn more about each other, learn more about the world, be able to learn more about life and about this amazing gift that God has given us. And so kind of to start out this first episode, we kind of want to go into some interesting facts. And so, Kellen, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I made a list of about 5 interesting facts about myself, and looking back at them, I don't think any of them are interesting. But number 1, I might be autistic.
That's a good one. So, how did you come to the conclusion that you're autistic?
Well, you see, Tyler, it's something I've always kind of known deep down inside me that there might be something a little bit wrong with me.
No, but it's just a superpower.
Yeah, okay, whatever. But I really started to notice this when all my friends were like, why do you walk on your toes? Why are you such a weirdo in general? And I took this test online that it was like an autism test, right? And I didn't score like super high, but it was like if you scored above like 60, you could be considered to have autism. And I scored like an 80. So
hey,
I might be autistic, basically.
You know, online tests, they're always the most reliable thing in the world. So that means
true.
You must have autism.
See, but it's the online test, like also with the fact that I do a lot of autistic things. So
you see, I took an online test one time, and it told me that if I was a Disney princess, I would be Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
That's not accurate.
So does that mean I'm Belle?
I think that's pretty accurate, actually, from what I know about
that's
you.
Huge. That's my favorite princess. So thank you. That means a lot.
Why on earth is Belle your favorite princess?
She's beautiful.
Clearly you got Mulan solos Belle.
No way.
Moana solos Belle.
No way. Mulan is like, okay, she's a decent movie, but like, she's not even like the coolest character in her own movie.
Who's the coolest character?
It has to be like the one guy.
Dude?
Like, what's the guy's
name?
The
dude's sweet. He's pretty sweet.
Mr. All, make a man out of
That's
you.
true.
That's like so cool. Like Mulan just like is kind of there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But Belle, like
you're gonna say Belle's not just kind of there?
No, she's beautiful.
The Beast carries that movie.
She reads, and you can't go wrong. She's literally Emma Watson in the live action. Like, she's beautiful.
Okay.
Best Disney princess easily. So going on to my first fact, random fact, interesting fact is, I've seen Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse 10 times in the theater.
Why would you watch the same movie 10 times in the theater?
Because it's that good.
Okay, but did you take different people, or you just went 10 times alone to the theater?
So I think 3 of them I went with the same people.
What?
But it was the first time I went with my family.
Like you forgot the first 2 times what it was like, so you're like, I gotta watch it a third time?
It was like, I might never get this opportunity again. I gotta take it.
And then you took it 3 more times.
Okay, to be fair, I only watched it 8 times. 9 times, when it was actually in the theaters. But then during the summer, the theater I go to had a free movie, and it was on, and I was like, free? Okay.
Okay, that's worth it.
So I show up to the free one, and so that made 10.
But you paid 9 times to see the same movie in the same theater.
You see, if I could go back, I'd do it again.
That's crazy.
That's how good the movie is.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying that's kind of wild. Anyway, for my second interesting fact about myself, I actually have a 2nd-degree black belt in Taekwondo.
You know?
Yeah. Hold
That's
your
needed.
applause.
You see, when have you ever used Taekwondo in real life?
Never once.
You're going to be on the street, some guy's going to come fight you, and you're just going to get beat up.
Yeah, I'm going to get folded.
You're going to be like,
For sure.
wait, I have a black belt. Hold up. Let me do this.
That's actually
this
the only thing it's
Taekwondo
been
on
good
you.
for so far is like, actually, I have a black belt, so you don't want to mess with me.
You're like one of those nerds from the shows that's like, well, actually, I have a black belt, so you don't want to mess with me.
Literally me. I spent like 10 years in this stupid pay-to-win Taekwondo system
It's so
trying to
pay
get
to
my
win.
black belt, man.
You really only get better, like when you pay. Like, they'll be like, oh, give $100 more, and you'll get this blue belt.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's not exactly what my instructor was like, but like, kind of, yeah, that's definitely the business model in the Taekwondo world.
It's basically.
Yeah.
So my second point is that I actually have a nail in my foot. So my senior year of high school, I broke a bone in my foot.
How'd you do that?
So we were just in practice. We were kind of like pushing on the sleds is what they're called, and doing a little bit of practice. And like, of course, we're doing it on this field that's like so bumpy. And so I'm doing this. One step, break. I'm like, frick. Like, hopefully this is just a sprain, right? So I just keep going about my day. And I'm like, you know what? It's just a sprain. It hurts really, really bad every time I step, but it's just a sprain, right? So I'm just walking. And then for like 2 months, I continue to play football on it.
What?
Which,
What?
in hindsight, that's probably wasn't the best idea. But I was like, man, I can't let this go under. No pain, no gain, right? So I keep playing. And then it's like the week before basketball starts. And I love basketball. And so I'm getting ready to go. And like we're doing conditioning. And I'm like, dang, I wonder why my foot still hurts every time I take a step, right? So I'm like, hey, maybe I should go to the doctor. So I go to the doctor.
You should have thought of that 2 months ago.
No, I shouldn't have.
Okay.
Even though I was basically crippled. Okay, I go to the doctor, and during this time, when I go to the doctor like gets the X-ray, like, yep, it's definitely broken. I was like, dang. And then he was like, and then I was like kind of being. In my own head, I was like, oh, it can't be that long, right? Like, it's like, the recovery won't be that long. And so then I come back that Thursday, and he's like, well, I think you're going to need surgery, and you probably won't be able to walk for like 2 months. And I was like, dang. So then I had surgery on my foot, putting the nail in. And I thought it was going to be cool, like Iron Man. But, like, I don't even set off any, like metal detectors or anything.
That's a scam.
So, like, all of the perks of having, like, metal in your body.
What? That's a perk? Setting off metal detectors?
People will be like,
People think I have a bomb, so that's actually good.
well, look, it's cool. Then you'd be like, well, I actually, I broke my foot one time.
That's not a flex either.
It is, though. It's just
Okay.
like, yeah, you can scan all you want, but you're only going to find it in my foot right now, okay?
Okay. My number 3 fact, I have visited all 48 continental states.
Oh, wait, 48? I thought there was 50 states.
The 48 continental ones are all of them besides Alaska and Hawaii.
Have you actually, like, visited them?
I've been to all of them.
So, like, drove through?
At least. Most of them we stopped and did stuff in, but like...
What's the best one?
See, that's a tough question. Because you got, obviously, Indiana.
No.
Got that. Okay, this is actually a piece of lore about me. I used to hate Indiana. I thought it was a stupid place to live. And there's nothing to do here. Now I realize that was like boy Kellen. Man Kellen has realized Indiana is kind of great. Because even though it doesn't really have anything to do and there's nothing fun, it's like kind of beautiful in its own like serene little way.
Yeah.
Because it's home, it's like where I'm from.
Except that it's not beautiful. Michigan is like 10 times better.
Okay, Michigan's cooler, but like your roads suck though. I guess Indiana's roads suck, so that's not really.
It's really just the roads. Like, we got beautiful beaches. We got the largest freshwater in the world.
Is it true that you can walk a mile in any direction in Michigan and find fresh water? That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I can walk like half a mile down to the beach, Lake Huron.
Other fun fact, this is actually, I'm calling it audible bonus fact. I cliff jumped into Lake Superior once, and I almost got so cold I couldn't swim. I almost died.
That's hilarious.
I mean, not really, but it was really sweet. I would definitely.
Well, I'm glad you didn't die. I'm glad you get to be on this podcast now because you didn't die back in the day. So my third fact is I was actually in 3 plays as a kid. Okay, these were like the most ghetto
A
plays
theater
though.
kid.
They were like the off-brand versions. So like one of them was like Fee Fi Fo Fum. This was literally like
Jack and the Beanstalk?
yeah, like off-brand Jack and the Beanstalk. Shout out to friggin' Washington Elementary. This place is
Let's go, Washington.
like the most off-brand Fee Fi Fo Fum. Like what is that? I was like, I don't even like really remember, but I was like some goblin or something, and like they like painted my face green. Like I was like, we can't even afford like the real Jack and the Beanstalk. We had to get Fee Fi Fo Fum. Then the second one was like, it was like Jungle Book, but like it really wasn't. It was like some ghetto version of Jungle Book. And like thinking back, I can't even think like what I was in this play. Like I was literally just there. I was in it, and I don't think it was a super big role, but there's that. And then the third one, which was actually the youngest one I did, was in like Snow White, but it wasn't like regular Snow White. Like it was like more about the dwarfs, and like I was one of the dwarfs, and it was a musical, and I was singing and stuff.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I got to wear this like cool yellow like triangle hat on my head. Like it was pretty sweet.
That sounds sweet. All right. Fact number 4. I own a longsword for no reason.
Why not?
I mean, that's what I thought. That's why I bought it. I was like, frick, this would look so sweet to like hang up in my room or something.
How much does it cost? Did it cost?
It was like $300. It was probably not a good purchase financially for high school, Kellen, but
$300?
yeah, I bought it on this like, it's called Cult of Athena. It's like this like online sword buying place.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's so sweet though.
Do you think you could kill somebody with it?
I don't know if I could kill, like,
Do you
it,
think, like,
it could definitely kill someone.
Is it sart?
Yeah, it's sharp. We
Have you
cut
ever
fruit
cut
with it.
stuff with
Yeah, okay. This is actually the tragedy about the sword. Is I was cutting, what was I cutting? I think it was like kiwis maybe. And I was cutting these kiwis, right? And then we didn't like really clean the blade off very good. And I got these kind of marks on it. So I was like, let's Google what to do to fix this. So I Googled, and apparently like, I think it was vinegar I used. It's supposed to like take like rust stains off metal. So I soaked this thing in paper towels covered in vinegar, and it just absolutely ruins the whole sword. It makes this like terrible like warbly markings on it. And now it's ruined and bad, but it looks good in the sheath. So
is this like how long is this sword?
that's probably like 4 foot long, 4.5 foot long. It's pretty.
Have you ever
Pretty
wore it
hefty
like
guy.
cosplay?
No, I don't have like. It came with this really like crappy strap to like buckle it to your waist, but the strap doesn't work.
You should
So no.
definitely bring it on the Bethel campus. I'm sure campus safety would love that
I'm sure.
because they love everything.
Yeah.
In case you guys don't know, campus safety, we love them.
We actually
but,
love them. Yeah.
you know, they do their job right and they protect us all the time. But you know, they have some dumb rules. You know, we be a little bit rebellious sometimes, but you know, it's okay.
What do you mean?
Never.
We always follow the rules every single time.
Every rule in the book,
Every
we
rule.
follow it. Okay, my fourth fact is that I have shaved my head twice in the past year. See, like, that's not that cool, but it's like twice in 1 year.
Yeah. Why would you do that? What
So
was
the first
occasion?
time, it was for my friend who was going to the military. I was like, you know what? Why not support him? So I buzz it. And one thing to know about me is my hair grows so slow. So like, it's not
I
till
can't
like
confirm.
7 months later that like my hair looks somewhat normal again. And so I go through that process. 3 months later, we have this tradition in Oakwood, the freshman dorm, to shave your head during this thing called Dude
Yup.
Week, right? And so I do that, and me, Kellen did it, our friend
Yup.
Aiden did it, and so we did that. 7 months later, I'm now back to the same amount of hair that I had pre-cut. So,
Yeah,
just
so
a little.
you got like your freshman hair back finally.
No, because freshman year I was still low-key bald. Like I wasn't like, I didn't have a full head of hair yet.
Cool. Now, the final fact, the 5th interesting fact about myself: I can play the banjo.
Ooh,
As
banjo
well.
and kazooie?
Yeah, similar. I can play the guitar also, but I thought banjo was more interesting.
Can you play any like notable songs on it?
See, the one that people always ask for is the dueling banjo song from Deliverance, and I can play like.
What is that?
It's in the banjo community. It's kind of huge.
Yeah. that super thriving banjo community.
Trust me, the banjo community is popping off right now.
Yeah, it goes hard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not good at banjo at all, but I can play that one, Build Your Kingdom Here. I play that at church sometimes.
Wait, on the banjo?
On the banjo, they put me up
They
there.
let you play the banjo
for
in
like
the
that
church?
song. I play for that in my lighthouse.
Ding a ding 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 ding.
I'm so bad at it. You're supposed to do it in like this like rolling pattern, and I can kind of do that, but I do it so slow. It's like
Isn't like the Cotton Eye Joe on banjo?
I don't know. I've never tried to play.
It's like dun 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 dun. I actually have no idea how any instrument works. I played trumpet until going into my 8th grade year, and like let me tell you, I sucked so bad. Like I was last chair every time, and low-key I was trying to get last chair so that I could be next to my friend who was like second to last chair.
Oh, that's huge.
But we would always be like just yapping during class. He'd be like, "Play your instruments," and I would not be playing. I would just be talking to my friend. So maybe that's why I am where I am right now.
Yeah, studying youth band because you didn't lock in band.
Yeah, all because of band. Maybe I would be like a worship director right now. I could be so much further in my life. So my final fact is that it's kind of like, it looks boring on the surface, but I have a story behind it. So I've had 3 dogs in my life. One of them I lived with, my family just got, and I lived with her for like 4 days. So that's cute, husky named Sadie. And then our other dog that I've had since I was in 6th grade, going into 6th grade, is named Cooper, and we have him now. He's Australian Shepherd Sheltie mix. He's a little small dog. He's great. He used to yap. His bark would be like, but the oldest dog I've had was named Callie. She was an amazing dog, like golden retriever, and she was amazing. And I think we got her when I was probably like 5 years old. I don't fully remember, but for some reason I like fully remember the night we got her. But that's a different story. But the day around like my 6th grade year, during like October, it was like close to Halloween. We had to put her down, right, in 6th grade. Oh. And so it's super sad, right? But I was like distraught over this, of course, because it's an amazing dog. Like she was amazing. She'd been there since I was like 5 years old. And so I'm super distraught. And so I'm in class this day. I think it was a Friday. And I'm sitting there and I'm like starting to tear up, right? And like I don't want my friends to see me. So I take this big book, I put it over my head, and I'm like just crying. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss my dog, Callie. And so I put it down because like the bell rings and we're about to leave class. And I look up and like these 2 girls were just looking at me laughing.
What?
And so that was very traumatic for me.
that sucks.
They're like,
the heck?
Oh, look at that guy. He's got emotions. I was like, dang, dude.
That's
really?
crazy.
Dude, we were about to kill my dog, dude. You really got me laughing at me like that?
That's
and
crazy.
So, now I remember that to this day. I could name drop them right now. I remember who they were. But I'm not a hater like that. You know, I forgive.
You got to rise
forgive
above.
And forget. Forgive and forget. And so now we have a segment that we're going to be doing most weeks with our friend Benjamin.
Yeah.
This
Benjamin
guy,
Keller.
he claims that he's 5'9", but he's really 5'6", you know, on a good day. He's probably like a $120, like maybe fully wet. He might be. But we're going to have this thing called Benji's Block. The name is in progress. We might change it. But what he's going to do, he's going to come on and ask a question, and me and Kellen are going to have to discuss, debate, whatever it is, the answer to this question.
That's crazy, Tyler. Giving me hate like that? I like to throw it out there. I'm pushing 5'8" on a good day. You know, with the right shoes on. I also love feminism and women. They're great.
Why is that?
Women are just great. By the way, I have a Lamborghini.
No, he doesn't.
Not
He's
important.
a youth ministry major as well. He'll be rolling
Anyway.
My cat from a fire yesterday.
I have an important, well, not really important, but I have a question for the day. How many geese do you think I could take in a fight with just a sledgehammer? And that's it. That's all I have.
Okay.
2 geese. Maybe 1.
Taking into consideration that he's like $130 and 1 goose is probably like 15 pounds. You can fact check me. I'm guessing it's got to be at least like 10 pounds, right? Kellen, you can look that up. But
yeah, I got you.
I feel like with that being said, I think he doesn't get any more than 50. Like 50 is generous, but like even then I don't know if he could take that. Because he's going to be getting plucked at. Like, you think about it, there's only 12 of them, and that's already heavier than him.
And the geese are nasty, man.
Do they? they're just so aggressive. Like me personally, I feel like I could take at least 100 bare hands.
Bare hands? You're
Bare
doing more
hands.
with Benji with a sledgehammer?
Bare hands.
That's crazy. A goose weighs between 5 and 14 pounds.
Okay, so I wasn't too far off.
Yeah.
Like
So
you
10
think
is a
about
good
that.
average.
Yeah, literally 10 of them would be like
Wait.
like heavier than this dude.
So he's pretty much like 13 geese in a trench coat, like right now.
Bro, I'm taking at least 50 geese. I might be getting up into triple digits even.
Triple digits.
See,
That's crazy.
are we-
Bro, I'm serious.
But you only got one sledgehammer. You know the recoil on that? They're coming like all around you from behind.
Okay,
You're getting
okay.
like trampled
Hear
down.
me out though. A goose sees me killing its fellow goose. You know,
It's gonna start
like,
trying to bite you.
That's like trauma right there. That goose is freaked out. It's in shock. I mean, I got the upper hand right there.
I mean, I guess I feel like the strat would just be to spin in circles.
Yeah,
Just
definitely.
Just like try and kill as many as you can until they eventually overwhelm you and you get killed by geese.
I feel like you can only swing that thing around so much till you just get like so exhausted you fall down and die. And I think you probably get. I would say you could maybe get 100 geese if I'm being
I don't
generous.
think so.
I think
You don't
so.
think?
Because I feel like it's much harder and you get much more tired quicker than you would think.
I
Because
guess.
swinging a sledgehammer is like low key takes a lot of energy.
I mean, you do throw, right? For
I
the
do.
track team.
I do
So
throw
you
for
would,
the
you
track
know
team.
this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I be carrying sledgehammers around every day, all the time. You know, so I know exactly what they're like, right?
So how many geese could you kill with a sledgehammer?
Minimum 100. I'm guessing max
Minimum
max 250, somewhere in that range.
100.
I think it depends on the day.
All right.
So you got to think I'm like 200, like 6'2", like I'm killing these geese left and right, like snapping their necks. A little gruesome. Sorry for all those children
That's
that are listening.
Tyler,
There's lots of
you're-
children
Tyler,
listening.
you're like closer to like 5'8".
That's such a lie. I'm literally 6'2".
Yeah.
Nah.
Okay.
Maybe 5'11".
Okay.
5'11".
Well, thank you, Benjamin, for coming on the podcast. Now we're going to switch into kind of the main part of our time today. So with our first time, we really just wanted to share a little bit about ourselves, and we'll have Kellen kind of share what we thought this segment was going to be like.
Yeah, so we figured that like this is like a good goofy podcast to goof around, but we wanted to have it like have some spiritual, deeper meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And we're thinking most weeks we might, like have a verse or two we talk about, or like have like some sort of devotional. But for this week, we were just gonna like share a little bit about like our testimony and how we got like where we are. So I guess I could start. So I grew up in like a Christian home. My parents took me to church like my whole life, like on Sundays, on Wednesdays, and all that kind of stuff. They were like super, devoted. Like they passed it on to me as much as I like could know. So I was doing that for like my first 9 or 10 years or so, and I was probably like 10 or 11, and I was like laying in bed one night, and those like how people talk about like suddenly gaining consciousness when they're like 7 and like remembering like whatever. It's like that's like that was me that night for some reason. I was like just felt like all the weight of all my sins. I was like, wait, what if I didn't ask those people to forgive me, and what if I still have all this burden of sin on me? And it's like I just felt like so much weight on me. And I'd say probably for the next, honestly, there's still probably ways I'm still kind of trying to walk out of that like feeling of like weight of guilt. But for the next probably like 4 or 5 years, really, I was just kind of weighed down all the time, like feeling like, like I was burdened by sin and like, I don't know, like I just felt heavy all the time,
Yeah.
And I think that really, like obviously I'm still walking out of that. I'm still like trying to get those like lies off me, because that's what they are. But it's like, I just realized like, you got to kind of accept like, yeah, those are the sins are things you've done. Like that's weight that should be on your shoulders, but it doesn't have to be, right? Because Jesus died to take that off of us, and we don't have to be walking around with that like weight on our shoulders. So really that's like, I don't know how to say this, but it's like, I realize I can kind of let go of that. Because like I used to read the Bible, and I used to be like afraid of God. I used to be like reading the Old Testament, seeing all those like, oh no, God judged all the Amalekites because they were sinful and worshiped the Baals and whatever, that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness, like God is such a mean God. And I would like read through all the laws in the Old Testament, and that would freak me out. Like I'm not keeping these good enough, and stuff like that. And I was like, I felt like God like was requiring stuff of me that I couldn't do, and I kept falling down on my face, and I'd be like, oh, okay, forgive me, God, I'll try harder tomorrow. And I think I had this kind of idea of God that he was like some like disappointed dad up in heaven, like, like, man, this guy's never going to be good enough. Like, I'll forgive him. He can keep living on until tomorrow, but like, he needs to get his act together, right? And it's like, I've just realized the more I've matured, the more I've had people in my life like speaking to me, pouring to me, like my parents, people here at Bethel, professors, my youth pastor, my pastor, just people who have really spoken into my life. I realize that that's not what God is at all, right? God is like relational first. And yeah, he's a God that punishes sin. Like he can't be in the same presence as sin, but that's like why he sent Jesus, right? Was to so that we could be with him again. And I think that's just something that I really grabbed onto like more recently and has really changed my life.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. Seeing God as more wrathful than he is loving. And it's something we have to wrestle with all the time through the scriptures, through how he's revealed himself in the world and in the early church. And so with that, Kellen, how would you kind of encourage somebody who's struggling in their faith or maybe still trying to seek themselves?
Yeah. I feel like I'm sure this is like a super common problem for like people who grew up in the church, people who read the Bible, people who read the Old Testament, even people who probably haven't, have just heard like about God who is, coming back one day to judge the world and who's like, oh, I got to be holy enough so he'll love me. Like, to anyone who's like feeling like that or feeling like you got to be good enough or you got to try hard enough, like that's just a lie, right? It's not about how good you are because you can't be good enough. That's the point. If we could be good enough, then Jesus wouldn't have had to come and die for us. So really, I think just rest in that fact, right? Like God loved you specifically enough to send Jesus for you, right? So just rest in that fact that he does love you, right? He's a good father. He's not up there like waiting for you to mess up just so he can judge you or like strike you down with a lightning or something. Like he loves you. If you don't believe that, just like look at the Bible, right? Romans 5:8, while we were still sinners, Christ died for us.
I love that.
Right? He wasn't waiting for us to clean up our act, and he's like to love us, and he still isn't, right? We just have to accept that Jesus has already done that and claim that righteousness is our own, and then live in the power of his Spirit out of that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a change and shift of understanding God, not as somebody who's waiting for you to mess up, but somebody who's merciful and forgiving and is very loving, and his love overcomes all sin and all fear. And so with that, some of my testimony it's very similar. It's a show of generational faith, something that I'm so thankful for. So I'm thankful to be able to be in this position. I was born into an amazing family with loving parents, with great siblings, and it's something I'm really glad about. But like Kellen, and pretty much any believer, there's a point that you have to come to where the faith is no longer your parents. And I think for me, that was my junior year of high school. Prior to this, I would say probably about middle school, I really sought out the approval of others. I wanted to fit in, and it felt like everybody liked me, but nobody loved me. It almost felt like I was alone, and I needed people's validation to know that I was worth something and I deserved to live. And so I feel like I lived out of that for a long time until through the years, mentors and people poured into me and poured in my life. And I think mentorship is so important because it brings a believer who's further along in his journey than you and kind of shows you how you're supposed to live through that. And I think it's so beautiful and it's so amazing, and I'm so glad for all those people in my life. Shout out to Todd Perkins, Edward Warzinski, just to name a couple. But I just thank God for them so much, and thank God for my parents. But it wasn't really until junior year that I fully committed my life to Jesus. At that point, I really started living for him and seeking him out. And so one thing about my family was my mom worked for Youth for Christ for a long time. And so it was through that experience that I got involved with leadership, and then eventually I got to lead one of the events. And so as I was leading and as I was on the stage talking and playing games and things like that, I really realized God's calling on my life, this calling into ministry, pastoral ministry, into kind of servant leadership like Jesus displays. And I feel like that's really when I noticed that. And it's something that I'm so glad that I noticed. And I'm so glad that God put that on my life. And then through that, I come to Bethel, and I got connected with Bethel through my church, but also my two older siblings came here. So that was kind of a pull, but I also loved the small campus vibes. And so came through that, and it's been amazing ever since.
Yeah, awesome. What insight do you have for, people who might be struggling or whatever in the same ways that you have, of like people seeking approval and always wanting to be liked by everybody?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I would say is find people that love you for you. And I think sometimes when you're in middle school, it's easy to look to other people in middle school, other students, for where your validation comes from. But I think the best way to get out of that is to see how God has defined you, how he defines us as his image, made in his image, crafted in the womb, how we're fearfully and wonderfully made, all these different things. And being able to find your community in the church maybe, because I feel like for me, I didn't really take advantage of the church community as much as I could have or should have. And so that's kind of something I look back on and wish I kind of would have done. But, can't really go back and change anything, and I don't think I would. But it's definitely something that has shaped how I view ministry now and how I'm encouraging students to take advantage of the community, because it's something that could very much fill them up spiritually.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you want me to give my call story? I didn't really add that.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, so how I felt called into ministry was, it was my senior year of high school, actually. We were going to this, my church was going to this youth conference. It's called Big Chill. Shout out Big Chill. All 4 people who go there. It's pretty small. But it's this winter retreat, right? And I was about to, I was packing up, getting ready to go. And we got to the church, and Mom was like, you know what? I'm going to pray for you that God shows you like the path forward from this. Because I was a senior and I had no idea what I was wanting to do, right? I never really, growing up, I didn't really have anything I wanted to do. So we got this conference, whatever, it was good. Good fellowship, good whatever. And then we had this kind of cabin time, little it was a small group time with our people that came with us from our church. And during that, my youth pastor, it was kind of an affirmation-y kind of time or something. We were just speaking over each other, and he was like, you know what, Kellen, I see in you I feel like you have good insights, you should share them. And I wouldn't discount you to be a minister or something. He said something like that. I forget exactly what he said. He's like, I could see you being a minister. And then the other intern guy there was like, yeah, I agree. I could see you as a minister also. I was like, oh, it's kind of weird. Yeah. And then it gets to the final day of the thing, and the speaker's giving his last message or whatever. And after he's done, he says, I forget exactly what he said, but he's like, I feel like there's some of you here that are called into ministry, and all I just want to say is, if you feel like that's you, I would just lean into that, right? Press into that. And I was like, dang. Mom, I was praying about what to do with the rest of my life. Mom was praying, and then 3 different people all told me hey, you just press into this idea of ministry. And yeah, I guess really the application to this is growing up, I was homeschooled. That's also part of why I'm autistic. But it's I'm terrible at getting to know people. I'm terrible at speaking in front of people. At least I used to be. I'm getting whatever, more practice, whatever. But it's I should be the least qualified person to be a leader. I should be the least qualified person to be a speaker. And really, all this is to say God can equip people he calls, right? There's a verse in Corinthians. There's actually 2, but there's one in 2 Corinthians. I think it's 12, 9, and 10. It's about Paul when he's talking about, the thorn in his side. And hold on, let me pull it up here so I can read it, because it's a fire verse.
Oh, the whole Bible's fire.
Amen. But not 12, 2 Corinthians 12:9-10 says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. So I will boast all the more gladly of my weakness, so that the power of Christ may dwell in me."
Absolutely.
Yeah, like that's just really like kind of like my life verse and like the verse I live by. It's like I know that I shouldn't really be where I am today by my own strength, but I know that God through me can do that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely. I think recognizing our own weakness, not because we think we're not worth anything, but recognizing our weakness when you compare it to God is really when you start to grow.
definitely.
And I think that's the whole point of kind of why we wanted to make this. What the name of Aspiring Scholars means is it's this idea that knowledge never stops, and that your understanding and relationship with God should never cease to grow, and that knowledge is something that you actively pursue, and it shouldn't stop at a certain age. Like when we graduate college, it shouldn't stop there, but it should continue to grow and get even bigger. And I think with that, we're just going to end in a prayer. If you guys want to pray with me. Dear God, I thank you so much for all these people listening, for Kellen and for Benjamin and all these people here at Bethel. Thank you for putting them in our lives and helping us to see you through everything and through your scriptures and through what you have told us, God. I pray that all those struggling in their faith, that you be with them, you encourage them, you put somebody in their life to be able to be a mentor to them. And God, I pray that they know that they're not alone, that they don't have to fill any standards, or that they're not worthy, but that you equip them and you help them to see what you want them to see. And like Kellen brought up, God, I pray that we can recognize our weakness, but not so that we lessen ourselves, but rather that we raise you up, because you are holy, God. And I pray that we know that and we understand that. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, carpe diem, seize the day. Thanks for listening.